If you're watching this as I upload, then Merry Christmas because this is my gift to you. That's right, this is my first ever double movie review in one video. But don't get used to this, okay people? Enjoy it and enjoy each other, and let's go. So yeah, you read that title correctly. One of these movies gained my absolute love and the other gained my respect. You have A Christmas Story, which came out in 1983, and then the sequel came out this year in 2022. So do the math, that's around 40 years, right? And sequels in general are that far apart, you guys all know this, right? They're a hit or miss. Now, A Christmas Story is a film from the 80s, as I just mentioned, right? But the story, the plot itself, is actually set in the 1940s. And many people would say without a doubt that this movie is not only just a Christmas classic, but one of the best films ever. And before I get into the plot of these two movies, I just want to emphasize on my channel, all my movie reviews are spoiler free, so no worries. For those not familiar with the original movie A Christmas Story, well, this is pretty much about the main character Ralphie at 9 years old, who's trying to convince his parents to buy him a Red Ryder Range model BB gun for Christmas. And it's so funny because throughout the story, he keeps trying different ways to strategize and scheme to give them hints without bluntly begging for it. One example is him slipping the advertisement of this BB gun into his parents' magazine so they read it unknowingly. I mean, he's a very smart kid for his age. Well, keep in mind, this is back in the day. We're talking 1940, so this BB gun is probably in comparison to today, a PlayStation 5. Well, that might be an extreme comparison, but you get the point, right? But hold up a second, right? Because now that I think about it, all these kids want nowadays is like digital currency, like Robux. Listen, if you don't know what that is as a parent, then look it up, lock your credit card info, and never look back. Follow those 3 L's, and you'll never lose. I say this, sometimes it just flows. Sometimes it just comes to me like this. You know, sometimes I write my script, but then it just hits me out of nowhere, so I just go with it. But now what's special about both of these films is that the main character, Ralphie, is actually narrating the entire film from a first-person point of view, but as an older man, since he is reflecting and reminiscing on his childhood memories of Christmas. And personally, I just appreciate this perspective because the back-and-forth conversation with his older and younger self is just magic. Apparently, the story is based on a novel, and I just love when I see stuff like that because it shows the story already has some credibility. I also love when movies are an hour and a half long, and that's currently what this movie's around. I mean, don't you just miss the days when they made good films within that runtime? I mean, we don't need hours upon hours to portray a good story on film. Maybe some, yes, but not all of them. But back to the story. It's obviously set around the holiday, but the location is in Indiana, so they make sure to reference the weather with how cold it is and the effects of snow. Ralphie has a little brother, and it's so funny because one scene, the mother is just overdressing the hell out of this kid before he leaves the house since it's cold outside. But the thing is, with all these layers, the kid can't even move, so he ends up falling down, and then he can't get up, so he's just rolling back and forth crying. Listen, if you're from up north, then you could probably relate. As a kid, this probably happened to you once or twice. And the parents are also funny because they have a good dynamic as a relationship. Another example is when the dad wins this lamp that is literally a seductive leg, but he's in love with it for whatever reason. And the mother, like most of the audience watching, is looking at this leg as the most ugliest piece of interior decorating ever. So you can imagine all the back and forth they go through in the story. Oh yeah, and before I move on from the parents, we all gotta agree that these two parents have some of the best quotes in movie history. I mean, on one hand, you have the father who can't read and pronounce fragile. He's saying, he thinks it's Italian. He's saying fragile. And then you got the mother on the other hand who's saying, who doesn't want Ralphie to get the gun because she keeps saying, you'll shoot your eye out. Now, I'm not going to go into that, right? But we all also got to agree that mothers do know best. And when it comes to the children, looking back on this film, these kid actors were really good. They were pretty reckless with their performances, but that's good because it shows true authenticity. From Ralphie to his kid brother to his 2 best friends and to the bully that picks on them. These kids are always screaming and running back and forth like maniacs. I just feel like when you watch child actors nowadays, it's so cautious and by the book, as in when they show emotion, I feel like they hold back, whereas in this film, you could tell those kids were really scared of the bully, and as an audience, you know not to mess with him as well, but you're also rooting for Ralphie. Now, when you think about it, that actor who plays Ralphie, Peter Billingsley, did a fantastic job in this movie because in a way, he played several different parts showing different emotions. As a character, he would constantly daydream dramatically, so the director would always transition from the current moment, whether him in class or at the dinner table, to him either portraying a cowboy or a blind man. Plus, he's always daydreaming of his best case scenarios, which were always fun to watch, so all I'm saying is that the kid had some range. And in my opinion, this movie inspired other great Christmas movie classics such as Christmas Vacation and Home Alone. You have Christmas Vacation with funny family holiday struggles and triumphs just turned up a notch, and Home Alone with the cuteness overload of this kid and how clever he is. Now, growing up, I loved both of these movies, Christmas Vacation and Home Alone. But unpopular opinion with A Christmas Story, as a kid growing up, I watched it a few times and I just did not care. I remember they would put this movie on in class or my parents would have it on the TV at home, and although some parts were funny, overall I was just kind of bored watching this movie. I think the reason being was because although this movie was shot in the 80s, right, it's set in the 40s, so as a kid watching this, I just didn't find the appeal or didn't understand. I really thought this was an old ass movie. But now that I'm older, I rewatched this movie entirely, which almost feels like the first time ever. Plus, I also had on subtitles because I was not playing around this time. I wanted to take this movie seriously because everyone says it's an all-time classic. And after watching, what I appreciate most about this film now is the writing, the directing, the music, and the acting. I already went over a few acting and writing examples, but even the music was impactful because they played at the best parts where it just fit the scenes perfectly, and this could be due to the directing of the film. Bob Clark is the director of the film, and he just has some of the best shot selections I've ever seen. I know some people don't really notice, and most reviewers hardly ever talk about the editing and directing decisions as much as I do, but I do appreciate the details because to me, they make all the difference. I'll give a few examples, and maybe you guys could go back and rewatch and take notice, but there are moments whenever it was dramatic, they would use close-up shots with the matching music to create the suspense. This in particular was when Ralphie was trying to decipher a code for this toy challenge, so they make it suspenseful with the close-up zoom on his face. Plus, you had that classic zoom in up close with the kid at the flagpole. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Kids, do not try that. We're about to be in 2023. Please do not try this. Drunk adults, please do not try this as well. You know, you're grown. Try it at your own risk. But don't come at me, all right? Do not dare, double, or triple dog dare me because I don't give a f. Anywho, the last shot example I wanted to bring up was when Ralphie meets Santa. They show a sequence from the first person point of view to show how insane that whole situation is about to be. But being honest, right, as a kid, your English language is limited, right? Until you get older, you start learning more words. And now that I'm older watching this movie, I just found some of the details in the writing so funny. I did appreciate the witty writing and vocabulary from the narrator point of view. If you rewatch this, many one-liners are really funny in this movie. And in addition to all of this, you have the time frame where technology has changed so much to where nowadays we probably don't appreciate the little things such as kids playing with handheld toys or even a microwave for heating up your food or even playing outside as kids. And that's where the sequel comes into place. This new movie, A Christmas Story Christmas, which the title, I'm sure you all agree, I'm not too crazy about, but it's actually set in more modern times. Although it's not the present moment, the setting is in 1974, where we follow Ralphie as an adult with a wife and 2 kids. He's now a struggling author who lives in Chicago, but best believe he's still daydreaming of big accomplishments, and he's narrating again in this film, which is a big plus for me because I feel that's what makes these stories. This is not a spoiler since it's in the trailer, but his father passes away, so now he has to go back home to Indiana to support and comfort his mother during the Christmas holiday. She only has one wish, and that's for Ralphie to help put on Christmas for her and to make it special in honor of his dad. Now you can imagine all the pressure he has with his career in the back of his mind and with attempting to do as good as his father with Christmas, which is tough because he was the best. But now the best thing about this movie is that they were actually able to bring back all the same actors from the original movie to reprise their roles. The only exception is the mother. That is a new actress. But as much as I love the original actress, I also did enjoy this new actress, Julie Haggerty, because she also plays the mother from one of my favorite romantic comedies, Just Friends with Ryan Reynolds. But to keep it honest with you guys, this new movie definitely has slow beats, and it's not really funny for the first half of the film. But one of the funniest parts to me throughout the movie is whenever they were at the bar. Apparently back in the 70s, since there were no cell phones, if you ever needed to contact someone, you would call the bar and ask if they were there. Well, every time that phone rang, everyone in the bar was freaking out, hoping it wasn't for them, since they probably weren't supposed to be there in the first place. So I just found these sequences so funny and genuine. And cool thing about this sequel is that during the end credits, they showed so many pictures before and after from the movie clips, and it just felt very heartwarming. But before I end this review, did you know that they already came out with a sequel in 2012? Where Ralphie is a teenager set 5 years later? The trailer just looked so trash that I didn't even care to watch because they had completely different actors and just looked corny. I know it's my job to put you guys on movies, right? But have any of you watched this yet? Let me know if it's worth a watch for better or worse and if I should do a review on it. But here's a fun fact. Did you know the actor that plays Ralphie as an older man? He's actually in the Elf movie. He played one of those random elves. So to end things off and tie things together in a nice Christmas bow, yes, I just said that. I don't care. Don't come at me. I would have to confirm both the movies were necessary for pop culture and to add to the list of decent Christmas movies. Everything was better in the original, but what's key was how authentic everything was for the time, which is why it's a perfect time capsule of a film and how I now have absolutely nothing but love.
Ralphie, what would you like for Christmas?
I want an official Red Ryder Carbine Action 200 range-ball air rifle.
Let's get it.
But we can't let this sequel get off the hook though. Despite the lack of comedy and script direction, I'm not really mad. I felt it was worth making this sequel to bring the story full circle for the character closures with a very nice ending for the father and son relationship.
No. Shoot your eye out.
Oh, hell no!
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. And if you want to see more, just subscribe. If you want notifications for new uploads, hit that bell icon. Also, if you could share this video with your family and friends, I would greatly appreciate it. So with that being said, I hope I was able to provide more insight to both of these films. Let me know if the first one is your true classic. Let me know how you feel about the second one, or if you want to watch the second one, I definitely recommend checking it out. I hope you're having a wonderful Christmas today, because today is Christmas. Trust me, I got some time to do this, so I'm still with my family. I hope you have a happy new year, happy holidays. I'm really excited to see where we are next year around this time with the channel, because I appreciate all the love and support. And thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you all on the next one. Peace.